And I mean,
So-
you could be something with the, like you have these players in Dota that are it's like Syndrome, that he's a bit of a professional player, but he's also, Okay, so Matt, I'll just let's start. I think it's working. I mean, there's no reason for it not to work.
Okay, that's great. Let's go.
Okay, so right now I'm streaming. I also record. Okay, so let's start again. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Hanoch. We've had a few issues and now we ran into good ones and we're fine. I'm having as a host Majestic Gaming.
Hi everyone, it's Matt here. Welcome.
So today we're gonna discuss a few things that changed in the Dota OptoCaster. First, we wanna just give a small brief that we have IO and Dazzle entering the hero pool, and we have some changes. Can you give us a small brief of what you think is a good summary, Matt?
Yes, no worries, my friend. So to summarize, right now we see a lot of trolls. We see the trolls in the form of trolls and warlocks and trolls and warriors. Because right now there are 5 trolls in the game, you only need 4 trolls to make the trolls activation, the troll aura work for everyone. And with the Dazzle edition, So with the Dazzle edition, there's so much more units in the pool to allow the changes, because we can find Dazzle earlier before we find the Troll Warlord, and the Dazzle can be the 4th Troll before you find the Troll Warlord. This goes very well with the Trolls and Warriors, goes well with the Trolls and Knights, and sometimes very well with the Trolls and Warlocks. We also see a rise of Goblins, because the River of Lich gives us less legendaries. This means we can find Goblin techies so much easier compared to before when there's 7 legendaries. There's 6 legendaries now. You might be wondering, is it IO legendary? IO is a legendary, but it's a wildcard legendary. You can find him at any stage of the game with 1.5% chance of rolling in any role, and he can appear at round 1, round 2 with a level 1, level 2 courier as well. That does not take into the legendary pool, so that means there's 1 less legendary for you to find when you're level 8 and 9 to search for the techies. Right now we can see the warriors, the Goblins being 2 of the quite strong builds. The warrior can go into the warriors and trolls, warriors and beasts. Warrior can take Spada and Medusa or Tide Hunter to counter the mages. And also, the warriors can go into hunters as well. For the goblins, Goblin can go into Goblin Demons, Goblin Mages, lots of good things with Goblins because it's so strong in the early game.
So when you were talking about, we had a small chat before about IO and its cost price, that it's 5 right now. And we talked about the fact that if I have, let's say, 2 Nagas or 2 Necros or 2 Dragonites or whatever, then maybe it's a bit imbalanced and it should cost a bit more. And maybe it should be limited from round, let's say, 15, or maybe it should cost a few more coins, because right now there's no real reason for me not to buy it, ever.
Yes, if we're talking about IO, what I do find is in the very early stage of the game, say maybe round 1 to 5, I actually can't afford the IO if I found it, because at the start of the game, we only have 1, 2, or 3 gold in the bank, and IO costs 5 gold. So that's the only time I think I won't buy it. After round 10, I think I always buy IO, because I can use IO to make a 2-star 3-cost unit, 4-cost unit, or 5-cost unit. And also, sometimes, if I'm really desperate, I'll make a 2-star unit with 2 costs. And so that means if I have 2 Slaughter, I can put IO down as my 3rd Slaughter to make 2-star Slaughter. Let's see if I really want the Slaughter. Most of the time, I tend to use IOs to make Shadow Fiends, Razors, Necromancer, and sometimes maybe a Doom. So those really works well. In the late game, I can use IOs to make Enigma, Tide Hunter, Techies, which is very good. The downside for IO is it's rendered, it's a wild card, so you have to get lucky to see him. You have to have the money to buy him as well. So I think 5 gold is okay, maybe 6 gold is okay as well. For me, 6 gold is acceptable, 5 gold is definitely a nice buy.
Yeah, so another thing that IO changes is you see streamers like you or Amaz or other professional streamers that they usually check the other boards before they go with a strat. Like they say, okay, there are 3 dudes going nanobots. I'm not gonna go nanobots. But then if you have the IO edition, then wait, maybe I can go goblins if I get a few IOs. You know what I mean? I know that there are a few more boards that go the same strat as I am, but I can just count on IOs.
You could, but with IO, you got to keep in mind you have to have two of the same units beforehand. Let's say if I'm looking for goblin techies, I need at least 1 or 2 techies beforehand to make IO work. What that means is it does not start with nothing. You have to have at least 2 of those units to make a 2-star. So IO is great to complement your units into 2-star or 3-star, but it does not help the build if you don't have the crucial unit. Let's say if you need a hunter, you don't have a tide hunter, he doesn't turn into a tide hunter. He has to have 2 tide hunters for you to fuse him.
Yeah, of course. So what you rated before Dazzle as an SSS tier?
Yeah, that was a really high one. That's right.
Can you just give us a short brief on why?
So there are 3 things why he's really top tier. The first S comes in that he's the 5th troll, and allows the trolls to activate so much earlier. I have had levels round 7, round 8, finally 4 trolls with 1-star or 2-star trolls, and that's really strong in the early game. The second S comes that Dazzle is a priest. This is the only priest that allows you to protect HP. If you're about to lose 3 health, he will turn that into 2 health loss. If you're about to lose 2 health, he will turn that into a 1 health loss because it rounds upwards. So what that means is if you find a Dazzle when you have 100% HP, it's likely you have over 120% effective HP with your current. And we all know how important HP is in the late game. So he's a massive, massive help with the priest class. Lastly, Dazzle's Shadow Ward is a really strong spell if you use it correctly. This is the last S tier because the Shadow Ward enables legendary units that are 1-star that sometimes can't get the spells off to cast the spells. Let's say you have a legendary Enigma, which is 1-star. He can't cast his spells unless he takes lots of damage, but he might die. If I time my Dazzle correctly, he'll cast the last word onto Enigma, so he lives 4 more seconds, allow him to cast the spell off and to have a surviving the game. Same goes for the Medusa. Dazzle can save the Medusa before she dies, and she can scream and stone everyone. So this is why he's triple S tier for his troll, for his priest, and for his spells.
Where do you think you should position him? I mean, you don't want to position him in first, right? Because you want to wait until your heroes are low.
So yes, with positioning and itemizing, there's a few advices. With warrior lineup, I want to position him a little forward because this allows him to sometimes cast a spell onto himself and protect a squishy unit, a squishy warrior that's about to die. In mages, sometimes I position him a little backward. So this is a personal preference. I don't say this works all the time with those lineups, and you should always adjust it. Put him on the front line if you feel like he's not saving people fast enough. Put him in the back line if he's casting too fast. And saying that, you might not want to give mana items to the Dazzle, because if he casts too fast, if your unit's not dying, it's wasted on him. So you really want to time that properly.
So you already talked about the troll warlords with the warrior synergy with the Dazzle, and I want to talk about another synergy that can bring Dazzle to the front, and it's the gods with Dazzle. And
that's right.
You made a video before that you tried it, and it was pretty amazing. So what are the key notes you need to know before you want to try it out?
So a few things you need to know is that you definitely need a 2-star mask as a good indicator you can go into gods, because that's the front line for the gods lineup. You also need Automated, Pack, and Razor quite early in the game, or at least you have 2 of them, you're looking for 1 of them. Having Dazzle on the board means that you can start a losing streak with a god strategy. Usually with a god strategy, you need a Medusa 2-star, Necromancer 2-star, Disruptor 2-star, or maybe 1-star Zeus in the mid to late game to have a good front line and back line to be winning those games. But before you get there, you might die before that happens. So having a Dazzle in early game allows you to protect HP, so you lose less HP each round you lose, and this allows you to have an extra 4 or 5 rounds to be surviving and to be searching for the crucial units. This is so important, and I tried this with a losing streak Dazzle in the Gods lineup. I was losing really badly, and I was only losing 7 or 8 HP instead of 10 or 15 HP, and because of that, by round 15, I had 50 health and 50 gold level 7, which is really high in level and high in economy. This allows me to stay on about 30 or 20% when I found my Medusa and everything and become super strong in the mid-game. Now, if I didn't have a Dazzle, I would have died around 20% because Dazzle did give me about 20 or 30% more HP.
Would you say, like, would you prioritize Dazzle over other like maybe Necrophus right now? Necrophus used to be a top hero in the God synergy. You would really want to rush into a 2-star or into a level 2 Necro, right? But right now, would you prioritize Dazzle over it?
So how would I run in a Dazzle lineup? I have a mask. I have a 1 2-star mask. Then I have the Dazzle, a Pack, a Crystal Maiden, a Razor. That will be 5 of the crucial units we have. Then I can build that up with a Necromancer, a Medusa, maybe a Disruptor, maybe a Zeus. So the key thing here is to have a few of the basic units. I can swap the Dazzle out when I think the Necro is strong enough. Because I don't have to be losing with a Necro 2-star if it's strong enough. But if I know I'm not strong enough, I might even swap a Pack out. Because Necro can be stronger than a Pack. Because Pack can only do damage, while Necro will do AoE healing as well. But the key thing here is balance. Once you're level 7, level 8, you can fit your Necros, your Medusa, you can fit a lot of those units. The key thing is to get to level 7 and 8 with Dazzle first.
If we are already talking about the gods, I want to ask you something. Are gods a bait? And if so, are they a bait in higher ranks than lower ranks? Because you see many people, you know what I'm talking about. Many people say you don't really want to go with gods.
That's right.
If you already have mage strat, then you want to burst the dude in a second. You don't want to wait for the other second to pass, right?
Yeah, that's right. So before this particular patch, gods are pretty bait for me as well. So out of 4 games I play, one of the gods game will be really strong and no one can defeat me. And in most of my other games, the 3 games I'll probably lose with gods because they're such a bait and mages are stronger than gods mages sometimes because they get more units and they become stronger faster. Elemental mages and even techie mages. So gods was a bait before. Now gods is becoming less of a bait if you have an early Dazzle because you can survive for longer. I think gods is becoming a really good strategy to think of if you have a Dazzle early. So before this patch, gods is big bait for most people, even in the higher rank games. I tried gods in the Queen games and in the hybrid games. Not many successes, but if I do, it's an epic game. But now with Dazzle, half of the time when you try gods with Dazzle, if you work it out with a losing streak, you can actually start to win with gods by coming top 2 or top 3. I have tried this in several games now, and some games with a Queen player or 2 Queen players in the game as well, and this works okay. So I think gods can really be a solid build if you know how to run a losing streak, how to use Dazzle properly in there. The key is to find a Dazzle early match.
That's a pretty solid answer. Yeah, I understand. So when you're starting gods, so you're saying like Dazzle is a 3-star, right? But if I wanna think about 2 or 1 stars, which should be a good starting hero for a good start with God synergy for you?
Okay, so to start the God synergy, you actually want a few more tank units before you try to find more mage units. So a Clockwork, a Timbersaw are 2 perfect pickups because those 2 are mercs. Those 2 also enjoy the shorter CD because they're frontline tanks. They take damage, they cast spells, and they repeat this. And Clockwork can mini stun enemy, while Timber does a lot of pure damage AoE. Those 2 are the top-notch units. After that, you can try to think of 3 warriors. You can have Mars, Tiny, or even a Juggernaut. Those units do cast spells, and Tiny can be very strong as well.
So the thing about Tiny in God synergy is many times you want to have the Razor, and if you have the Tiny, then you're giving up on Razor, right? Which is a very nice mage to have if you want to go God's mages.
That is correct. So how this works is usually you'll find a 2-star Tiny before a 2-star Razor. And if I have a 2-star Crystal Maiden, 2-star Pack, at that time I can take down the Tiny. But before that, I might put down the Tiny and the Razor so I don't activate the gods. I like the elementals before the gods because in the early stages, before round 20, it's actually better to have elementals instead of gods because not many units can cast multiple times because we don't have a 2-star crystal maiden, or we can't survive long enough to cast multiple times. So it's better to have the stoning effect with elementals. So tiny and raise actually works well before you get your strong gods lineup. It's like they're carrying over before everything that's great comes into place.
And you're pointing something that I wanted to talk about earlier, that sometimes you need to give up on the god synergy in the mid of the game, at least. You want to say like, okay, I know that I'm giving up on the god synergy for now, but I think I'm making my lineup a bit stronger. And I think many people, they want to force the god synergy. Like, I'm not going to buy this hero, I'm not going to put it on because I won't get the cooldown reduction. But sometimes it's not the right option, and I see you doing that a lot in the streams. You're just like, okay, I know I'm giving up on the god synergy, but I think this lineup goes better.
Yes, it's really up to the player himself. I sometimes try to do this more often if I'm about to die. So when I'm below 30% or 20%, I'll start doing this